Baby, don't know what to say, but I know what we'll do. You and me together, we can make the perfect two. Let me keep it real, let us make a deal. Come right over, girl, so we can Netflix and chill, girl. Netflix and chill, Netflix and chill, girl. Netflix and chill, let me keep it real. Oh, Netflix and chill.
Okay, so with that, hi and welcome to Happen to Me, the host, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
Yeah?
Ryan James.
I caught that. You forgot to say your last name there for a second.
Almost.
Hello.
No, he said it. It was
It's there.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Brian Dressel.
Yeah. It's all about my dream to be a racetrack announcer.
You got it.
Have you got any callbacks?
Because they
No, not yet. Turns out you actually have to pronounce the words.
Well, at least you'd be an auctioneer.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to put a bid in there.
Today we have a special guest, Tom Ford.
Hello.
Who is replacing Chewy, who had to go get a job.
How dare she?
And then
jealous.
second time ever guest, Eric Steffens is here.
Damn, ever. That's gonna great. Yeah. Hi.
Well, Tom's been here like a fuckload of times.
Yeah.
I've lost track at this point. So
I might
Have
be
you
double
ever
digits.
had like met a girl and she'd be like, "You're Tom Ford," and just like she goes crazy, and they're like, "No, it's not that Tom Ford."
I haven't had the going crazy, but I've had the, you're Tom Ford? I have your bag. I'm not handsome enough for the go crazy part.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I thought you'd look different and not work in post.
And why are there holes in your socks?
That's the car you drive. Okay.
We're going to get started with where have you been doing.
What a segue.
Yeah, I am going to go first with something that I don't usually mention here. I've been listening to a podcast, which I don't usually like mentioning other podcasts
Holy
because
shit.
I'm very, very prone to my own podcast. But it is...
It's almost like you're cheating.
Yeah, I know. I feel guilty. But it's grown-ups read things they wrote as kids. And it is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It is a group of adults from city to city. You basically, you sign up for it, and then you just bring like your diary or like a letter you wrote or cards or whatever, and they read them just to an audience. And they are surprisingly hilarious or heartfelt or really, really depressing at times. But it's like, it's just so like honest and cool that I've been digging the shit out of it. So if you get a chance to listen to it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Each episode's like 35 minutes, and it's they're fantastic. And if I lived in Canada, I would go, but
But you don't live in Canada.
I don't live in Canada,
Yeah.
so that makes
Yeah.
it.
It's
kinda,
weird that the podcast reaches you from the airwaves.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm like going to a different country every week. But it is great as you listen to it because they always say like aboot and suri, and
Oh, really?
it's very Canadian.
I'll do it when I'm working on my Canadian accent. I'll listen to that.
This story is about the guy.
Nailed it.
Perfect.
I'll go
Well, I live
next
6 hours away.
with another thing we don't talk about much in music. A new Deftones album came out this week. It's called Gore, and Deftones for me never fails to disappoint. They're one of those bands that like had a little bit of peak into stardom in the new metal in late 90s and early 2000s, and I think they got like lumped in, and then they kind of went away from the spotlight after that. But they've consistently made great music. They wait like 4 years between albums, as most good bands do.
It feels like a dig at a band that you don't want to name.
Shots fired, but who?
No, I don't know.
Everyone?
I just think they're one of those bands that like, you know, some bands will make an album a year for like 3 years and then they'll suck. And then some bands will make an album every 4 years and consistently make good ones. And they're one of those bands.
Cool.
Okay.
Baby Metal also had an album come out this past week, and it was surprising.
You already went.
I didn't say I listened to it. I just heard that it was decent. I did listen to it. It was great.
Give me chocolate.
Whoa.
I guess I'll go. I finally finished F is for Family, which is pretty amazing.
Is it?
I loved it.
That just looked like something I'm going to keep scrolling past in Netflix.
It's one of the better...
What was it?
F is for Family. It's Bill Burr's cartoon sitcom.
okay.
Oh, I didn't know it was Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I would have watched it.
You need to rate more than great marketing.
Anytime a parent says, I will put you through that fucking wall, I'm on board. So I'd recommend it.
So, because I finished...
Did you go Canadian on that?
I suddenly turned Canadian. Oh, shoot. Oh, gosh darn it. After watching Daredevil, I decided to check out some Daredevil comics, and I checked out the most recent one, which is probably the worst way to start, because the ongoing one right now, where he's in like San Francisco or some shit,
He's in the black costume?
in the black costume with like a sidekick named Blind Spot, and then there's like a weird, like 10-fingered guy, and I read like 10 issues. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm enjoying it. I'm reading it.
It's
too.
fine.
You know,
It's
I
fine,
really
but it's
like
like-
the artwork.
I like the artwork, but then like the story, there's like all these weird things.
Yeah.
And then they introduce the villain, and he has like got off like so many fingers and they all look gross. And it's
Well,
like,
did you
His 10
pick up on
fingers.
it that he actually I think he sews them on as he takes fingers from his henchmen, or he has
Yeah.
10 fingers in his thing as he takes fingers from his henchmen, and they were like willing to give it up because they're less than him, and it's really weird,
It is,
but it's kind of cool.
and I don't know how I feel about that weird aspect because it kind of took me out because I'm like, wait, 10 fingers? That's his thing. That's the villain's thing.
Yeah.
What do these 10 fingers do? Are they magic?
A normal 2 hands, like I don't know. That's
Well, like all his henchmen.
Wait,
too are
what do you
called,
mean?
like,
Fuck, I have 10.
oh shit.
No, like 10
9.
fingers, 10 on each hand.
No, I
actually.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then his like.
So they should call him 20 fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
they
it's
should,
20
but
fingers.
10 fingers sounds way better.
10 fingers does.
That's
sound-
why
sounds
he's the
normal.
writer and you're not.
Well, he's not the writer. The writer is writing about him.
Oh yeah, you're right. Charles
But,
Soule is the
Comic books aren't
yeah.
real.
And the writing's solid.
They're real.
and-
I have one of them with me.
Nice.
We could tell we're doing this one an hour later. We're all a little more on top of things.
We're a little punchier. Yeah, like Daredevil, I guess.
See? Point proven.
That was the worst joke so far.
Speaking of daring, are you done?
I'm
Was
done,
was that-
yeah.
He's
it
done
felt
now.
like there was
I dare
there
to
was
be-
not much left to that.
I
It
dare
was-
to be done.
Dare to be done. Yeah, I've been doing stand up a lot the last 4 months, and that's been really fun and exciting to work on how to tell jokes and how to try and get across things you have issues with society in and trying to make people laugh about it. And also sometimes like just being okay with not being funny and standing in front of a crowd that doesn't laugh and not crumbling to a pulp.
Do they throw tomatoes?
Whoa.
What?
Do they throw tomatoes?
No tomato throws yet.
When's your next show? I can bring some.
haven't- Oh, yeah. My next show is actually in 3 weeks in the Ice House in Pasadena.
Okay.
At probably the 8 p.m. show.
Do you need a reverse fan club?
In a reverse fan club.
Just me and John in the audience
I am
going,
getting
"Boo!"
really popular lately with people that hate me.
that reference.
I'm really
More Daredevil jokes.
I'm really thrown off that you actually just admitted, oh, I'm okay with standing up there and being not funny, instead of saying, well, I'm okay with getting in front of crowds who suck and don't get my jokes.
Yeah. I'm a much more
So-
secure comedian than the majority of the group.
You're in the wrong career then, I think. I don't think security and comedian go together.
People ask me that sometimes. They're like in the green room and that, like, what's everyone like in the back? I'm like, man, we're totally different people. They're all like making like raunchy, like sexist, like all this stuff. And I'm like, so do you need help with your taxes? Because I'll help you with that. And yeah,
April 15th. It's coming
I
up.
just did them yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a stress release.
Let's rock out.
Let's do
this
this,
is
yeah.
not the
Let's do it.
Deftones, unfortunately, in the
Yeah,
background.
I'm enjoying the background music from our neighbors.
This is what happens when we wait an hour.
That's the neighbors wake up.
Everyone is awake.
Didn't you just do a half marathon before this, Brian?
I did, yeah. I've been up since
How does
3:45
that not
this
come
morning.
into the conversation at all? Things I've been doing lately. Oh, I ran 13.25.
Well, most of the movie-going audience don't give a shit about running. Oh, I did a marathon.
But that's
whatever.
that's a big thing for you.
did.
Like that's
People
you're
who
training
like-
for a marathon, like your first one ever. Like that's
There's not a
that's
lot
incredible.
of crossover between people who like movies and people who like to run or hear about
Yeah,
running.
most people who love movies love sitting.
Well, let me
Unless
tell
they're
you,
a Tom
do you
Cruise
not
fan.
enjoy a movie way more after you've gone for a long run?
Oh, I'm going to one right after this. It's
Yeah.
going to be great.
Yeah, you appreciate it so much higher.
That
So
does give me an idea, though. Instead of seats at a theater, like a treadmill or like a running or a bike machine, have people who really like to be active.
I
and
bet
get
there'd
them
be
in
an
the-
audience for that.
Yeah,
I bet it would
In it-
sound great in there.
in LA.
You'd have to wear headphones.
basically, this movie is awesome.
Just make sure it's like a Transformers
just
movie.
watch
You're
like
fine, yeah.
just do like Mad Max or something because
Yeah.
like the whole time they'd be amped for it.
You're powering the projector, basically. With it. Like,
Stop running, the movie stops. Keep running.
Why is it trolling girl?
if the lighting is too little or too low for you, that's your fault.
Just gonna call it The Wheel, and that's the name of the movie theater.
Oh
and
my
you all
god,
step
there
in
would
and
actually
push
be
it.
a market for this.
Yeah.
Copyright,
God.
mine.
It's super green and friendly.
The Wheel, presented by After the Hype.
Trademark 2016.
Okay, we're gonna get started on today's episode. Which, if you have been paying attention to our past episodes, this is our Netflix Roulette episode. Which I'm still calling Netflix Roulette, even though we did not use that app because that app is way out of date and fucked us over. So
See,
we
also
used
deleted
really
scenes.
yeah. So we used a different app that I didn't write down. So thanks that other app. The worst. You do it better. There's a plug for you.
generous
Everybody go to that other app.
Yeah. They did a great job.
Can you sponsor us, please?
And tell us who you are.
Really should have wrote it down.
We're sponsored by Blockbuster, so
know-
we never mention any of the Netflix apps.
Yeah. So the Netflix app was basically, if you didn't listen to the end of the last episode, even though I told you to in the beginning of the episode, I'd be very upset if you didn't listen to me.
I didn't know you guys were doing this.
It's always good to start a podcast with making fun of the audience, just like really berating them.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Okay.
But anyhow, so we randomized just all of our picks, and we got movies that some of us have seen, some of us haven't, some of us should never have ever seen. And
You should have seen our first draft.
Our first draft was crazy, but that one ended up not working out, which is
Yeah.
shucks howdy.
Too bad. I really wanted to watch that TED Talk.
Would you have originally Gangs of the Dead, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Something
would have
like
been
that.
cool.
Ah,
But
so
well.
good.
So we'll list off the movies that we're having first, which we usually don't do, but I kind of want to just so you
Yeah.
can see the mix of what we're getting today.
Yeah.
And by see, we mean here.
No, they can see with their mind.
With their mind's eye. Yeah, that third one right there.
Yeah, it's all about
Mine's a little
imagination.
crooked.
Mine's off center.
Yeah. It causes problems.
I have triple vision.
Ooh.
So I'll go first. Mine was Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, which is,
Rar.
it's a great one.
It's probably better than Cowboys versus Aliens.
I'll get into it. I'll get into it. I'll get into it.
All right.
All right.
If we're
Eric?
not getting into it, Eric, go ahead.
Mine is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Mine is Curse of Chucky.
I've got Children of the Corn from 1984.
And I've got Love's Labor's Lost by Kenneth Branagh.
One of these things doesn't belong with the other.
No, it belongs.
It totally belongs.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump at once.
I think one of the hosts should go first.
All right. I'll get it. Because I'm not ready at all to do this. I have Love. Are you going to start the timer?
I need to turn up the volume.
That's
on the
cool.
timer.
I'm going to kill some time while you're starting the timer because I don't have 10 minutes of argument for this movie. That's fine.
Oh, I can talk about it. Don't worry.
This
about
is
We'll help.
the Shakespeare comedy
going.
play adapted for theater by Kenneth Branagh. This is, I believe, his third or fourth Shakespeare and probably his fourth or fifth best Shakespeare adaptation to film. Some of his other good ones were Hamlet, which this is a fun fact that I read on the internet I really wanted to throw in today. Hamlet got him a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay, and he literally did not change a thing from the Shakespeare.
Yeah.
it. That's well done.
Yeah.
I think so
That's
too.
game in the system.
Yeah. So this one he actually did change quite a bit. I think only about a quarter of this was actually from the Shakespeare, and his goal with this was to do a combination Shakespeare movie and classic musical with music written by Gershwin. And they actually pull most songs from other old musicals, if not all. It actually kind of
It doesn't
Was-
work. Don't say that it works. I was really afraid you're about to say it works.
I stopped myself. let me rephrase. He tries really, really hard to
he
make it
tries
work.
so hard.
And there are some things that work. I really like Nathan Lane in this. I think he's a comic genius, and the physical comedy overall was really well done, even by Matthew Lillard, who was the worst at it. But Kenneth Branagh actually did a really good job. The actor who plays the king, can't think of his name right now, he does a really good job. Alicia Silverstone, not so much, and then the rest of the supporting cast is fine. It's the plot of the film is kind of the king decides that he's going to take a break from kind of distractions, and him and three of his buddies make a pact to not go for women or drinking or partying, dancing. They're just going to focus on their studies and bettering themselves. And Kenneth Branagh's character is like, no, that's not going to work. And then cut to it not working.
I mean, that's just like classic Shakespeare. I mean, it is classic
It is
Shakespeare.
classic
That is such
Shakespeare, yeah.
easy like Shakespeare like though.
So, then we see Alicia Silverstone, the best actress for the role to play the Princess of France I've ever seen.
It's the Princess of France, Alicia Silverstone.
She plays the same character she does in Clueless a little bit. To its credit, this movie actually made me kind of like do some research into Shakespeare, and I finally understand iambic pentameter, which this
Okay.
movie does none of. But I looked up on YouTube what it means. The musical numbers were actually pretty good, and unfortunately, they didn't really go for people who are known for their singing or dancing, except for Nathan Lane.
No, they got.
Are you defending the movie or beating it up?
I'm not sure.
It's a little column A, little column B.
Yeah. And there were some really solid comedic pieces in this, like the scene where the Kenneth Branagh is like hiding in the library, and one by one, all the guys come in, including the king, and like kind of admit that they've screwed up their pact and have fallen for one of the women in the court of the Princess of France. And it like turns into this giant musical number that actually is kind of funny. There's like some physical comedy where one by one they come into the room, and very classically like, oh, someone's coming, and one guy hides under the table, then one guy hides behind the lamp, and one guy,
How does
it's
like,
stupid, but it's funny.
I always laugh at that stuff where it's like that takes me beyond the realm of like believability.
Oh,
When it's like,
absolutely.
I've never walked into a room and been like, oh, there's not somebody underneath the couch. Like that's like that's just.
How often do people hiding underneath your couches?
I mean,
Like,
never, because I've always caught it. Like it's just not. It's not.
Wait, how would you know if you didn't?
fair point. Fair point.
Motions. I have a dog, so that's just all gets sniffed out.
So
You just assume that you've never.
what Ryan is saying is that he was actually under your couch recently.
That's where he hangs out.
It's better than inside the couch.
Yeah,
It got awkwardly quiet after that too. I'm a
yeah,
little-
it did.
I ran out of things that I liked about this movie.
You're only 5 minutes in.
It's really solid at the box office. It cost $13 million to make. Reined in a whopping $300,000.
Wow. I mean, the things that when I was watching all these movies this past week, yours was the first one that I watched, and it took me 3 sittings. Like I just did not like it. It's just not for me.
No, well, the one thing it actually has going for it is that it was executed well. Like,
Well,
the
that's
camera
Kenneth
work
Branagh
is
all
good.
over. I mean, like, Kenneth Branagh is a good filmmaker. I mean, he made fucking Thor. Like he makes movies that I like, and he's a really interesting guy. He puts himself in his movies a little too often for my taste.
Right. He definitely did not belong in this film at all.
It was a really weird casting decision,
Yeah.
but I mean, he's fucking in charge. So,
Yeah.
But he knows how to make a film. He knows
Right.
how to put together. Like he did this all on stages, and it was obvious, but
Yeah.
it looked like it worked. Like
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing. He made a bad movie.
Well, yeah, it reminds me like when we talked about Dracula with Gary Oldman a while back. I mean, it's like so over the top, like
Yeah.
artsy, but it works. It's like you can tell they're on a stage, and it's just like everything is done for the specific reason.
Well, and sometimes the ingredients come together and work really well, and
Right.
sometimes they come together and just.
And I also really, it didn't work this time, but I really have to give it to him for trying to combine a classic Gershwin musical with Shakespearean play.
Yeah, and
There's some ambition there.
Yeah.
And there's something to it where like when it works, it really does work.
Yeah.
It's like I wish the whole movie was like pretty much whenever Nathan Lane is there. Like when I wish the whole movie was as good as this scene.
It really shows you when somebody's a really good actor how they can save. A
Oh
scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like-
Well, yeah. Nathan Lane's phenomenal.
He is.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like when he comes in, you're like, oh, this is gonna be good. Like I don't
Yeah.
know how it's gonna be good, but he's gonna make it good.
Yeah, and he does. But there's just. I was watching it with Chewy, and then she never sat down for either one of the second sittings, so she only saw the first third of the movie. And it was about a third of the way in, I'm like, fuck it. I put myself through this. Every time we do a battle, I watch all these fucking things. I'm not doing this one.
You actually almost gave up on my
I
movie?
almost gave up on it.
Wow.
But then I felt guilty, and I went back to it. And then I gave up again, and then I felt even more guilty, and then I had to finish it.
I'm trying to figure out where like the best part of the movie is definitely in the middle, which is where most of the Nathan Lane scenes come in. The beginning is kind of lame, where they're making the pact, and then when we meet and they meet the girls, and then the end of the movie is just like completely falls short. I'm gonna spoil it right now. The guys,
No, you can't
the guys
spoil
put on-
Shakespeare.
The guys put on masks and they go to a dance and they dance with the women who are dressed all hot and they accidentally swap partners and it's all a riot. And then some other things happen in the play that don't at all happen in the movie. But the movie ends with the Alicia Silverstone, the Princess of France, finding out that her father has died and she's going back to France. And the women say, "Hey, if you like us, wait for us." And then the guys go die in war or something. There's like 3 parts of the movie where they put in random black and white news clippings, which did not belong at all. That drove me out of it immediately. But oh wait, am I defending this movie?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
You're really selling the audience on it.
Listen,
even
if you
need
like
ammunition
Nathan
for
Lane,
you right now.
if you like laughing, if you like rubber chickens, go see this film.
Or if you like Matthew Lillard, who tries so hard.
I wasn't even going to mention him. You said his name like 5 times
Because I was afraid you weren't going to mention him. I had to bring him
Such
up.
the weak link in the acting.
But I will say that he tries so hard.
Definitely everybody tried really, really hard, which is, as far as the movies that I've seen at the table go, they try way harder.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure about
Fair,
that.
fair point.
I mean, my movie tries way harder than, especially Jay and Silent Bob. Shots fired. But
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
Chucky,
So, do you think there's any Shakespeare that actually got pulled off in the box office? Because I think I don't really know a Shakespeare that's really selling people.
Well, the one that did the best was the Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Romeo
That one
and
sold gangbusters.
Romeo
but it was mostly because
plus
Romeo
Juliet.
plus Juliet.
yeah, but that was mostly because of Leonardo DiCaprio. But that movie was huge.
But also, that was another movie that tried to like mix up genres, and it worked that time.
it did. But
Yeah.
that was, Baz Luhrmann. I mean,
Yeah.
it's another director who just knows what he's doing.
That's what I was gonna say.
Now, if they had injected fucking musical numbers into it, it would have gone way off the rails.
Right.
Great Gatsby style. But
Right.
for every good one, he's got a really bad one.
Do you guys realize this is one thing too? Leonardo DiCaprio's movies with Scorsese, the trailer is always a Kanye West song. Look it up on IMDb right now. All right, think about it.
You can't unhear it.
I was going to ask you how you got there. It's just a fact on IMDb.
No.
Or you watched all the trailers in succession and were like, Kanye.
I just
check,
kept
Kanye.
noticing that when Leo is always in something with Scorsese, it's always Wolf of Wall Street. You go with The Departed, and you go
Shutter
with,
Island.
Great Gatsby.
Shutter Island.
There's no way a Kanye song is there.
Maybe not Shutter Island.
Argument
I got three.
You're out of time.
I will end by arguing that as a result of this movie, Miramax shelved a 3-picture deal with Branagh.
With who?
With Kenneth Branagh, the director.
That's
Like, no, we're not making any more of your movies.
Thank you and goodbye. All right, who's next? Next. I gotta save mine. Mine's too good to go right now.
What? I think that means you have to go right now.
Damn it, you're right. Okay. So
So ready for this.
here's my 10 minutes. It just started. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever like seen a movie before, but you haven't if you haven't seen Cowboys versus Dinosaurs. This is easily the greatest film ever made, and I'm going to go through why. I took very rigorous notes as this movie was going on, and I'm basically
God, I can
going to
see it.
read them to you.
He's whipping out his notes.
So you can understand how wonderful this movie really is. So first off, it's directed by Ari Novak. Reminds me of BJ Novak, and I like that guy.
Sold.
This really harkens back to my nostalgia battle.
It takes place in Montana.
Remember
land
that
of
one
Cowboys. In the very first scene, there's a big box of explosive, not explosives, just explosive, and there's a really big box. And then before they go into their mine, apparently they're miners. They go into their mine. The guy goes, "All right, you apes, let's rock and roll," to go dig for material. And then you find out after they go in that the material is radioactive. They don't find any material, by the way. They just blow open a wall, and there's fucking dinosaurs behind the wall. There's just like 4 raptors just hanging out like, oh, that wall exploded. Oh, I'm going to go bite those people. They don't eat anybody. They just bite them and kill them and then move along, which is wonderful, right? I'm going to keep moving.
Yeah, I think raptors do that.
Yeah, and then I saw there's a credit in the opening credits. It says, introducing new star Heather Foote. Which I thought was funny that it said introducing new star. Because I don't know who she was in the movie. There's bull riding in the opening credits, and some guy falls off, and it's like, well, that's going to come back. And now I didn't pay attention to anyone's names throughout the entire movie, so you'll catch their nicknames as we go up. But the main character is Sad Cowboy. So we'll keep moving with that.
Eric Roberts.
Is he a dinosaur or a cowboy?
He's a cowboy.
Oh, okay.
Is that
Cowboy
Eric
Dinosaur?
Roberts?
It's not. Eric Roberts is clearly just there to say Eric Roberts was in the movie.
Okay.
He has like
Which is
one
awesome
scene.
because he's the first build cast.
Oh yeah. So after Sad Cowboy fell off the horse, after Sad Cowboy fell off his bull, he says he will never ride anything again, which totally means he's gonna ride a dinosaur by the end of the movie.
Oh, I can't wait for it. Tell me more.
So then after that, they go swimming. These 4 girls show up in a truck in the middle of fucking nowhere to go swimming. And now I'm gonna have to stop defending the movie for a little bit because I have a lot of problems with the swimming scene, and I'm gonna go through all of them. None of their suits fit. It looks fucking freezing.
When you
out.
say none of their suits fit, you mean they're too skimpy, or
No, like they just don't fit them properly. They make them look like big, ugly cows, and they're not.
Tom Ford? How do you feel about that?
Potato sacks were this season's fall.
Okay,
fashion.
all right, great.
Oh, well, then maybe they were. But either way, they did not fit them properly, and they did not look that. Secondly, or thirdly, if you're counting, this looks like a horrible place to go swimming. Like, the water is very shallow, and it's just rocks underneath. Like, you can see the actresses, like, trying to step around the rocks as they're trying to go into this obviously very cold place. They're standing in the water, and one girl goes, I found that spot. And she goes, oh, you mean that spot? Yeah, I mean that spot. And they go, ew. So what I inferred is that girl basically just said that she's masturbating off the current of the stream. I don't think that's a thing. And hey, a wide shot. She's only knee deep in.
I thought it meant I just peed. Like, stay away from the spot.
She has the ooh eyes.
Jokes on you.
Maybe she found a spot with no rocks.
Jokes on you. It's on her knees.
And then some dude just shows up. Some shirtless dude with his big honking mustache. I call him creepy mustache
She found
man.
the dude summoning spot.
Okay, that's
Let me help you.
That's a thing.
thank you. Okay,
How
that
did you
makes
not get this in the movie? Did you watch it?
Anyhow, so the one character's name that I caught the whole time was Sky because my very short time with watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the name Sky just sticks in my head. So that's the one name I have.
And then they changed it.
Yeah,
She's Daisy now.
And then whatever. And then the other girl's name I never caught. So in this
Daisy.
bathing suit, I call her Flatbutt. So Sky and Flatbutt are leaving 2 minutes after they got into the death stream. How will Underboob and Can't Act ever get home? Hopefully not with a wandering shirtless mustache man. How have any of them not killed by dinosaurs yet? Hey, a nip slip.
Why aren't there dinosaurs yet?
No kidding.
How far into the
fireworks
movie are we?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. It's
that's why.
97 minutes long.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll start moving here a little bit
No, I'm just
quicker.
curious.
But I really had to get this swimming scene out of the way because there's just so many questions.
Burning questions.
The swimming scene is
And
the
now,
scene I had questions
yeah,
about.
and now Underboob is going to watch Can't Act and Mustache Man fucking a stream. Then they cut away for one scene.
That's the spot.
Cut away, and they come back, and Underboob has her face ripped off, and there's just a raptor just hanging out, and then he goes and kills people in the stream.
Wait, I thought the dinosaurs. Oh, the dinosaurs release in the very first. Like,
In the
2
very
minutes.
first, yeah, in the very first 2 minutes,
They
and then-
get right to it.
Oh yeah, right to it. So moving a little bit along, there's
I can't wait to find out why there are dinosaurs.
You won't. So Sky has a new boyfriend. He sounds like a dick. Gonna keep moving. New boyfriend. Yells at Sad Cowboy. Turns out that Sad Cowboy stole Sky from new boyfriend back in the day, but I'm not changing the names. So wow, in the middle of a diner, new boyfriend pulls a gun on the cowboy. Looks a little weird. Now I realize that both new boyfriend and old Sad Cowboy look old enough to be her dad, but whatever. So, shit happens. Sad Cowboy ends up in jail for reasons. And as they're doing this, everyone's kind of going, there's raptors around. How do you know that? You weren't in the mines. And they just keep talking about it. And then some random old dude is talking to some really hot young girl about raptors, of course. And he's like, hey, yeah, there's raptors. And she's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, I'm going to do you raptor style. And then he gets killed by a raptor. It's completely random. These characters have nothing to do with the movie, but that's why it's great. Hey, kids. Character actor Eric Roberts shows up. He doesn't do anything. Now that miner from the beginning of the movie who blew up the wall is dressed like the man with no name, and he's using an old school security camera as a dinosaur tracker. You know, like those ones that you see like up in the corner in like old malls and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, he's just holding one upside down, and it's beeping, and it's tracking dinosaurs, I guess, somehow.
He hacked it.
Is it like a radiation
Science.
detector?
It could be. They don't say.
Because you said like they were looking for radioactive material.
That would
right?
make sense. They don't ever explain it, but whatever.
Okay.
We're gonna keep moving along.
Cutting room floor.
So now they decide they need to blow a bigger hole, and they do that, and a T-Rex jumps out.
Yes.
And he just bites somebody in half and then runs away. Now raptors are everywhere. They're killing everything. Flatbutt has to hide in a dryer from one. Somebody kills the raptor, and then she picks up an AK-47.
This sounds like a synopsis, not a defense.
No, it is a
Well,
defense
hold
because
on.
you need to go through the ride, and it's
Hold
awesome.
on, it's actually serving as both right now.
It really is. So she picks up an AK-47, just knows how to use it. Another backstory scene. Get the fuck out of the movie, please. Then a raptor literally slaps a woman, like with his little small arm, just goes smack, and then eats her in front of her crying children.
Finally, a raptor eats somebody.
Yeah, it usually they just bite them and walk
But the
away.
child stays fine.
Well, they don't show them, but I'm assuming they're dead because that's the way this movie rolls. There's a T-Rex chase moving along. Oh, one point, the sad cowboy starts riding a horse, takes out 2 handguns, shoots a raptor in the face, and goes, "Your history."
Awesome.
I did see that in
you
the
win.
trailer.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Now he's trying to ride a horse to get away from a T-Rex, and all I could think was the line from Last Action Hero, "He's gonna die!" And he didn't.
You remember lines from that
Did
movie?
he
course.
outrun the T-Rex?
He sure did, because he's a cowboy.
I mean, you could. No, I mean, the horse could.
Oh, hey, look, the acid-spitting dinosaurs from Jurassic Park are here, but they didn't want to spend any time making new character models, so they look exactly like raptors, which is awesome.
They're Dilophosaurus, Brian.
Thank you. I could not remember the name when I was looking at it, and I couldn't find it on the internet. So now Minor, New Boyfriend, Sad Cowboy, and Sky are going to try to cattle wrangle the dinosaurs into an explosive mine. And as they're talking about this, they just happen to mention, hey, you know, their dinosaurs' blood is methane. How they figured this out is fucking beyond me.
What?
Yeah, so at one point, Flatbutt has a... and at this point, I've
Has a
seen her...
premonition.
just to change names here really quick, I'm sorry to do this to you, but Flatbutt's wearing these really tiny G shorts, and I realized I was totally wrong about her name, so she gets in my notes, no longer Flatbutt, she's now Hot One. So Hot One, Sky, Minor Dude, Sad Cowboy, and New Boyfriend are going to try to wrangle the things up. And at one point, Hot One has like a flaming bow and arrow. Don't know how she got that. Shoots a raptor in the face. Fucking thing explodes. This movie's perfect. I mean, it is really perfect.
So she uses a flaming arrow that it makes explode, but when the guy shot the raptor earlier on with the bullets, it
Regular
didn't.
non-flaming bullets.
Right,
Because
but-
later,
but the
later,
heat from
which
it
I'm
would
getting
still-
to. So now they're
I'm
running
just saying,
from the
like
T-Rex.
the movie has a lot
hold
of
on.
holes in it.
No, it's
and
perfect.
that doesn't make it really.
From the
Flawless
bullets.
and
I mean, if-
perfect. No, because here we go. Because now they're on ATVs and they're running from the T-Rex and like, oh my god, we need to get over to the hole where there's more methane, I guess. And they're gonna try to
that
kill more
strengthen them?
dinosaurs. And he has a shotgun, and the T-Rex gets right up next to him, and he turns around to shoot the T-Rex. It fucking explodes because of methane blood, right?
And that's how that leak.
So again,
in
so
Ellipso Canyon.
So here's my
happened.
question
Yeah.
again. So as we just said before, you said the bullets didn't work with the raptor earlier, but now
Oh,
the
they
shotgun
killed
works.
them. Yeah.
But the T-Rex explodes.
Oh yeah.
Because
So-
methane.
So, I'm addressing.
'Cause
So I'm
methane.
just saying, there's a hole there in your movie where
And
your
not
movie
necessarily
because
because maybe those other raptors didn't have methane blood.
Right.
Oh no! They said all of them were. I mean, this
Yeah,
is-
but how do they figure that out? We don't know. So they could be wrong. Maybe only
Unreliable
some do, some
narrator.
don't. Yeah.
I
Unreliable
think
narrator.
there's a complete discrepancy in your script storyline.
Well, I can't wait for your flawless movie.
Oh,
Are you ready to go?
Oh, fucking ready after this.
I'm almost out of time here. Like 7 seconds. So I need to
Really?
explain. The ending of the movie ends with them killing the T-Rex, and then a pterodactyl comes flying out of the ground, and they go, "Oh."
And they don't make another one.
That's literally the last line, and delivered just like that. They look at it and go, "Oh." Not like, "Oh shit, this it comes in. Oh, we need to do it again." Just, "Oh."
Guess it's someone else's problem now.
Flawless movie.
Oh.
Who wants to go next? Eric's going next.
All right. Oh, we started?
You're starting.
Okay, so let me start off with I don't like Kevin Smith. Like
This is the movie for you.
When you gave me the list, I was like, motherfucker. Like, of course I would get this. I despised when that movie came out. I was like, this is bullshit. This is stupid. This is terrible. So I sit down and I'm watching this movie, and I'm 20 minutes in, and I'm like, wait, this is kind of good. And then like 40 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, this movie is fucking amazing. I am not joking. I love this movie. Like, it is absolutely hilarious, amazingly funny. I'm not even doing this to defend it. Like,
Did you watch the right movie?
I did watch the right movie.
Wait,
and
it's not Empire Strikes Back.
no. But that's what I'm saying is like I came into it with such judgment and it turned me around. That never happens. I am the most pretentious actor in a movie of like I can give a lot of movies a lot of credit, but I literally started just laughing hysterically while this movie was going. I almost cried once or twice. That doesn't really happen for me in movies.
Win of the once or twice.
What?
Win. What the 2 times? When were they?
One of the times was at the end when Mark Hamill shows up and they start having the
yeah.
episode 1 Star Wars battle, and then the other one was actually the Scooby-Doo situation, and that just goes into it. Okay, this movie has everything. Okay, it has Scooby-Doo references. It has Star Wars battles. They even play parodies of these. And okay, so when you do a movie that's clearly trying to be a comedy, one of the hardest things to do is not to play the comedy. And that's what a lot of movies suck at, is they're like, oh, we're trying to be funny, so it's not funny. Every actor in this movie is dead serious about what they're talking about. They believe this world. They live in this world. And Will Ferrell randomly throughout it, and he's amazing and he's incredible. They have a fugitive scene. Oh my God. And then, okay, there's a fucking orangutan that comes through. So they have the fugitive scene where Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, and he jumps off. And so again, in a movie, predictability is one thing that's terrible for it. And so the orangutan grabs Jay and Silent Bob and pulls them off the edge, just like Harrison Ford jumps into it. So Will Ferrell runs and jumps off, only to find out, no, the orangutan duped Will Ferrell and is hanging off the pipe edge and pulls them back up. I mean, holy shit, like never expecting that, but it makes sense.
You left out the part where Will Ferrell screams, "Fuck beans."
Fuck beans. And so I mean I can go all the way through this, but so let's go also in just what a movie is, okay? I believe a movie should be something that tries to help people be better, like to change who you are and to make you learn something more. And this movie does that, okay? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What's the whole premise of it is that they would rather care about their reputation and what people think about them than make money. I'm sorry, that is a huge universal concept that should be out there, and they fight for that the entire movie. At the end, they end up taking the money, but they do it in a way that they're okay with it. And if we go from the beginning again, we have all these random throwbacks to, like, if you know Kevin Smith, you know all of his other movies, you know all the people he's friends with. So I love seeing all these things throughout it that are inside jokes that the audience is in on. And that's the weird thing is, like, so we get in this world where we watch people on Instagram and on TV, and we think like we're part of their life. So when we see all these moments come in of Ben Affleck, of Matt Damon, of the chick who is in A Curse of Chucky and everything like that, like, we feel like we're on the inside joke, and so we're laughing with him, and so we actually feel more included, like it's our own family, like we're watching our best friends do a home video. And if we're going in just, okay, context of what a movie is, a movie's to make money, okay? Of the 5 movies here, only 2 of them made profit, okay?
Hey.
No, that's true. That's true, because I did that research, all right? This movie cost $15 million, and it made $30 million, okay? $30 million. The only other one that did it was Children of the Corn, which, by the way, Children of the Corn was the first movie, not the 8th movie, okay? Like Curse of Chucky, which bombed terribly, versus the first one that was a box office hit. And that just shows you that you can't
Mine
do
was
those
definitely
better.
the first.
Yours was definitely the first in sci-fi films. But let me tell you this, okay? So if we're going in this movie, compared to all your other guys' movies, because again, we're competing of who has the best movie.
Getting all political on this.
Let me ask you this, okay? Who has Kevin Smith, Ben Affleck, Brian O'Halloran, Shannon Elizabeth, Eliza Dushku, Ali Lauder, Jennifer Schwalbeck, which is Kevin Smith's wife, Will Ferrell, Judd Nelson, the great George Carlin is in it. Oh my God, it was such a beautiful moment to see that George Carlin played a hitchhiker on the roadside that gives head to travel across the country. As much as that may seem a little grotesque, he was fucking real about it, and he committed to it, okay? Oh, could we mention Carrie Fisher is a nun in this, and Jason Mewes wants to give her head, and she commits to it the whole time. She never plays off the character. Sean William Scott, Jon Stewart, Tracy Morgan is in this, Gus Van Sant, Chris Rock, I mean, Wes Craven, Shannon Doherty, and they all commit to this. They make fun of Miramax for making fucked up Scream movies. Like, they do spoofs on all these other bullshit things about superheroes. The whole premise, by the way, is that Blunt Man and Chronic, 2 characters based off of Jay and Silent Bob, become comic book characters, and that it's stupid that all these big production companies are making a movie regardless of what it's about. Kevin Smith is bashing on the industry. He's doing the one thing we want to do is like, hey, make a good fucking comic book movie. This is 15 years before this moment of today where that still is an issue. And so they're still bringing up things. It's still relevant to this day when you watch this movie. On top of that, again, at the end, so I'm going back to this moment, so the movie continually gets a little more farcical as things go on, but they're still playing reality. And that's the other thing, too. As much as, yes, the orangutan is a little bit off, most of this movie is fucking believable. All this could really happen.
This movie is Looney Tunes. There's no way this movie's believable.
Yes, it is.
No way.
A cross-country trip and you bump into people, like, and these people.
That's going as on the surface
Oh my
as
God, that's
possible.
so great.
Yes,
That's so
you
great.
can meet people on the road.
Hold on. Do you write the descriptions for Netflix movies? Road trip and they meet people.
Here's the thing, but there's no plot holes in this. There's no like, wait, how did that happen? You're like, oh no, this makes sense. I get the storyline. In the fantasy world that you live in, everything gives that. Versus methane dinosaurs that randomly drops halfway through the movie. There's no information midway through. It's not like, oh, Jay, you and I are actually brothers.
They're just
like
cowboys.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, none of these are actually like A Curse of a Doll. Like, I know I'm stealing from something that hasn't been said. Like, those
Stealing all my thunder.
Those stories aren't believable in that, and this goes all the way through. So at the end, they're playing in this world of the actual characters in the movie, and all of a sudden, Mark Hamill comes out as as Cockknocker, and he has a giant hand, and they start having a duel, and they fucking mimic Star Wars Episode 1. And that's probably too because I know Kevin Smith didn't like that movie, but again, a beautiful moment of Silent Bob gets beat up, and he goes through one of those revolving doors like Indiana Jones. Again, another throwback, and who comes out the other side is Jay, and Jay has the double sword from Darth Maul, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie has just changed its level. Chris Rock is losing his shit the entire time, just going off on all of it. Like, I cannot tell you how excited I was watching this entire movie because it was so good. Which, by the way, for those of you that are listening, you don't know this, but we're in a room of horror, like movie central, and up there is Poltergeist, Leatherface, everything. You know what person isn't up there? Chucky. Okay, because of all those, Chucky is the one that's not as interesting. Okay, Child's Play and everything
really
like that.
At you, John.
Yeah, I know.
Is not up there. Okay,
What did I ever do to you?
because we're here to defend the best movie, and my movie
And
to
attack
this day
mine.
is still relevant, is still hilarious, is something you will still watch, and it's so freaking funny.
What's
and,
your address?
That's right. No, so how much time do I got left?
You got 2 minutes.
I got 2 minutes. Okay, so
No, here,
okay.
I'm going to ask you a question. So what you're saying this is like the greatest movie because it has all these things in it, like it has all these references and all
Yeah.
these other things. Now, what if, I mean, it's tough to do, but so does the movie stand on its own without just references, or is it just one long reference? Because when I saw this in high school when it came out, when you wouldn't see it with me.
That's right. This is actually a reference back. I think we can go back to literally
Yeah.
that conversation of like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm seeing that.
Yeah,
movie.
so like
because at that, by the way,
'cause
time
I
I
guarantee
didn't
I would have asked you
swear,
to see it, and you
so
would
I
have
was
said
like, there's
no.
no way. Versus now, it's like there's no fucking way I would.
So when I saw it then, I loved it. When I watched it now for this, I went, this movie's nothing but just reference after reference after reference after reference. There's no story. There's no plot. I don't give a shit about anything in here. Like, why am I watching this?
So, oh, by the way, did we mention the moment when E.T. Playback comes into it?
No,
right
you did
there?
not mention it.
Because that happens too. I mean, it's a homage to everything that was really good about our life, and that still in itself is a storyline. Is bringing up all these great moments. Now, again, on the storyline, they go to try and defend themselves. That carries throughout. And when he loses Justice, his girlfriend, who's played by Shannon Elizabeth. By the way, that was another moment too. Jay has a serious moment when she actually dies, and he's like, shit. Like, yeah, Jay is a confused, struggling character that struggles with trying to be the cool guy versus what he really wants, which is to find love. And by the way, Kevin Smith in this, brilliant. Throughout this, what they don't see is Kevin Smith is a kind guy. He tries to help all the girls out of the doors, and they're all bitches, but he's really respectful, and he shows the etymology, or not the etymology, but the epitome of what a good gentleman should be. And they never break that. He's not raunchy or vile. And Jay is just confused and lost. And when he finds justice, he actually starts to change to be a better person. And that's another thing you got to bring up is they show character development. They don't show character development in any of those other movies. Nobody else comes to terms. Lisa Silverstone goes off. Like, she doesn't churn into who she needs to be. In Children of the Corn, they're not like, they don't come to terms with who they need to become. And Curse of Chucky is just a stupid movie about surviving, okay? This is what I got to say. If you haven't watched this movie yet, you need to watch it because it will change your opinion of what a movie should be.
It's a good ending.
And then go watch Family Guy.
All right. Which horror movie do we want left?
I feel very attacked. I should probably go next.
I'm so ready.
out,
I'm
though.
so ready for this shit.
Just a heads up, there's no corn on the wall either, so I'm screwed.
or children.
Again, all of you have not set yourself up well. You just, I didn't even bring up the corn part.
Yep.
My movie is perfect, by the way. All right, John, you're good to go. Go.
Okay, so speaking of
Best intro.
That was my whole intro to the podcast.
so to what you said about just nostalgia and just reliving our past, here's something where the past should probably die. It's a good response to.
That should have been the tagline.
It's basically the good response to Jay and Silent Bob. What surprised me the most, just getting out of the way, was the connection to the very first movie. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting. I was like, okay, this is gonna be another Chucky movie. He's back for some reason. Didn't watch the previous ones. We'll see what it's about. And yeah, the connection surprised me that they were actually trying, like you mentioned for.
When I was trying to tell you, it's not going to be so bad when you watch it. It's
Well, yeah,
surprisingly clever.
Brian was saying, "Oh, it's not. Yours isn't going to be so bad." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then I watched. I'm like, "Okay." I kind of had a not quite as violent, a revelatory moment as you did with Jay and Silent Bob, but I had to, like, this is actually trying for something.
Yeah.
And I was also surprised that the main character was also disabled. And there was a lot of things in there that were surprising and weren't quite expected. Once Chucky started doing his thing, yeah, that's about right. And how come nobody was creeped out by this doll that they got inexplicably like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it showed up in the mail. Who sent it? I don't know, but we'll keep
Does
it
this,
forever.
what year does
doll.
this take place?
Now, like 2013.
It takes present day, like 2013, like when
Yeah,
it came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it made me look stuff up because I didn't quite catch the connections. Like I said, I didn't watch the previous ones. And
You did not do your research.
I did not do my research until afterward. And I mean, as far as a horror film goes, this isn't going to be a defense. Sorry.
Wow.
It's not.
You guys, come on.
I defended the shit out of mine.
You dear.
You totally explain your movie.
Yeah, you explained your movie.
I will say that the deaths
should
in
write
this
the Netflix
movie
review.
were actually fun. Like I laughed at them, which I probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't, at the way that these people die. But they were
I
funny.
think that's honestly, I'm gonna just jump in for a second and say that is a lot of why I like horror. Sometimes I think it's so campy and over the top that I have fun even if it's funny or if it's scary. So
Well, I
that's
think-
fair.
and I think this
I
movie
can
and
defend the shit out of your movie.
And I think
you want
this
to
movie-
tag me in, I can do it, man. I like that movie.
And I think what this movie and this
Try
movie
it, I'll take
series
it
does
down.
well versus some other ones is that it really puts the comedy and the dark comedy where it makes it really funny for the grotesquity. Like, stabbing the gal's eye out and stepping on it. That I was like, oh, that's gross, but I was laughing at the same time. Having instead of stabbing the au pair, he just kicks the bucket of water over and like electrocutes her as she's like webcamming with the lady across the room. There's always like it's almost like they elaborately set up these weird, hilarious moments just for the heck of it.
Did you look up who the main actress's dad is?
Yes. Yeah. The Dorf.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the main actress is the daughter of the guy who voices Chucky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And once I saw that, I was like, that's I saw the name in the credits, like she's probably related. And I saw her face, I was like, oh yeah, she is related.
She looks exactly like
she
him.
looks exactly like him. And yeah, throwing in a disabled character as like a protagonist and just they actually gave it a little bit of thought.
That's
and not just your average like, oh, they're in a wheelchair, okay, whatever. But like a lot of the horror was centered around her immobility.
And that's a noble thing to like I like that idea of putting something different and like again trying to see somebody like that be the protagonist. But that's also probably the only person that couldn't defend themselves from a doll. Like that's something through the whole premise of Chucky that I think we always forget is this is a doll. This doll probably weighs 8 pounds, okay? I'm not sure about the laws of physics, but a broom should be able to defeat this thing no matter what. And all these times, no one has a stick in their hand. Like,
Well,
especially
I
when
think
you
he's
know...
kind of Ant-Man-ish. It's like his size, his strength is relative to his size.
He has got the power of the devil behind him.
Yeah.
He used voodoo.
I've got
That's
the
like,
laws of physics behind me, okay? I don't care how you are in that. Again, the same thing
No,
with
you're
Ant-Man.
right. An orangutan could totally hold up Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith.
Orangutan has 8 times the body strength, okay? And so they're 200 pounds. Orangutans weigh about 80 pounds. That's 640 pounds. Yeah, the orangutan can do it. Busted.
Chucky could take him.
Chucky. All right. You want to put Suzanne the orangutan against Chucky? I'll bring that shit all day long. She shot Will Ferrell in the back with a dart. She carried 2 people off a cliff and brought them back up. And then she beat up Jason Biggs and Jason Vanderbeek for trying to play their characters.
To be
okay?
fair, anybody could do this.
Chucky walked around. Like, Suzanne do that.
By the way, how is that scary in that movie? Every time Chucky runs, I just giggle because he just scattles across the table, and I would just be laughing, which would just make Chucky more mad.
It's like a toddler coming to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Like Children of the Corn.
Well, I think, but that's kind of the point of it. At this point, it's all like the first one tried for a fairly legitimate slasher,
and it was a serial killer
who was in the body of a doll.
And how did he get in the body?
Voodoo and the devil.
Voodoo and the devil. Yeah.
Robert
He actually had
Young,
a.
He was dying.
Oh, because he didn't want to die, and so they put it in the doll, and then that was a.
He did it. He did it himself.
he did
He
himself.
researched voodoo and did all that stuff himself. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and then
Before
when he
Google.
Yeah.
died, did he get the electric chair?
No, he was dead by the time he got.
He got killed in like a toy store.
Is this in the first
Oh,
movie or
gotcha.
is that
That's
one of
the
those things
first
that
movie,
they?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to play that.
Now, explain what. Like, when I say this movie is surprisingly clever, explain that because you kind of touched on in the beginning, like the family relation, and if you didn't know, this movie was marketed as a reboot. So if you didn't know that,
Jennifer Tilly was in it.
yeah, well, you didn't know that in the beginning. Like,
Well, and see, that's
when
the-
this thing was first coming out, it was like this is gonna be a reboot, a whole new thing with Chucky. Chucky had a clean face again, so it was
Yeah.
a really kind of a cool once the movie gets
It does.
going.
It does play off very much as like just starting over. There's no ties to anything. There's nothing really that calls back to it. And then at the end, they just say, "Hey, this is actually a sequel. This is actually further down the line. There's more to it." And it kind of furthers the narrative a little bit of what Chucky's doing, which, again, as someone who hasn't seen the previous ones, I wasn't quite expecting that.
You never saw Child's Play?
I saw the first one, yeah.
Okay.
I saw Child's Play and then this one. So I've skipped
but-
everything in the middle.
But I like that. Like this movie did a really cool thing with always marketing it as a reboot, and then having it when you find out that he's wearing a mask and that the fucked up face is still beneath him. Like that was a really cool twist.
that's cool.
Like I really liked that they did that, and then I liked. I'm not sure if you're going to mention it, but Chucky wins.
Yeah.
He's never won before. Like he does. He actually possesses a girl at the end of the movie. Like he leaves the toy.
Yeah, and endings like
That's-
that kind of warm my heart.
Yeah.
In a weird way. I like when the bad guys win sometimes, in these.
In a horror movie.
In a horror movie.
In a horror movie, it changes. Like it's not usually done, especially in Chucky, which is so just like paint by numbers at this point.
I think there's a reason why that doesn't happen.
They let the hero
'cause it's-
lose because she was damaged
everybody's
enough
on board,
and
but-
just didn't have enough to beat Chucky. Like
Yeah.
that was just straight up. You match him together, he won, and they played it out. It is.
I think that's awesome, actually, because I
Yeah.
mean, when you watch these franchises, you get to the point where the only consistent character has been the villain, so you actually cheer for the villain in like the 8th, the 9th,
So
the 10th.
can I say something though about this? So I remember seeing the trailer for this, and the trailer was okay, and yet the movie bombed at the box
It
office.
didn't even go to the box office.
It didn't even go to the
was
box
direct to
office.
DVD.
Okay, so what does that say about a movie if it can't even do that?
That they
I
weren't
mean,
shooting for it.
they made it for their fans, which there aren't a lot of. So
I'm just we're defending movies right
Yeah,
now, and
no.
I'm saying defend
I
that.
think
What do you say to something that can't hold up and make even marginally close in profit?
I think
I
it
would say
didn't
that-
have 4 other movies and the strength of Miramax behind it.
Well, I think at this point in series like these, they just turn out like this. You get directed to DVD. It's for the fans, people who really kind of enjoyed the previous ones and just want to see more.
But what I hate about it is when they go into those bigger movies, they start making spoofs of themselves. And
This one was not a spoof of itself. Seed of Chucky most definitely was.
Okay.
This one they really went. We're going to make a film for our fans because
Well,
they
and
haven't
and
done that in a while.
And they seem to scale it back because I haven't seen the previous ones in the middle, but it seemed like they just kept escalating it and getting it more and more complex. And this kind of scaled it back a bit, except for the end where they kind of started tying it all together. But it seemed simpler. Which allowed me to kind of get rid of, like ideas about quality, which sounds like a knock against it, but
it got simpler, so I cared less that it was a piece of shit. Like, it was,
but I could actually enjoy it more, get into more of like the.
were you
things
scared ever?
No, that wasn't. I mean, that.
Okay,
that's
so
never
you
been the
watched a
point.
horror movie that didn't scare you, and that's a good defense for a movie.
Horror
can
movies don't
be.
have to
Yeah.
scare you. Like that's
What?
they do
That's
not.
the word, horror.
Yeah,
They
the
just-
things that are horror in the genre. They don't. If you're only going for horror movies to scare you, you're missing out on so many wonderful horror films.
I'm not. No.
Not that
like,
not the Curse of Chucky is one of them.
I'm just saying. Like,
Suspension tension or what?
Oh, he's out of time.
If you go into a horror movie wanting to be scared, then not every horror movie is going to be for you. But
Right.
there's lots of people in the world who aren't scared by a single horror movie since they were 9 years old.
who
And they
is
still
that?
really
La-
the
last
people who
thing-
make these heads in this room. I
last
guarantee
thing I
you they
wanna-
have not been frightened by a movie in 20 years between them.
I would
So-
challenge that. I would think they get more scared, and they love being scared.
The
'Cause
last
that's what they
last thing I'll
appreciate.
say, since time is up, is that axe to the face. I laughed my ass off.
I loved axe to the knee, and she's like, "Oh, don't feel it."
Yeah, but like you have an axe, and to your point about the doll not having a lot of strength, he just blunts him with the blade of the axe on the guy's face and just tears it right off. It is hilarious.
Wait, tears off the axe or tears off his face?
Face, but he like blunts it off. Like it's like blunt force, not actually stabbing in. He just kind of hits it and scrapes because it's a doll.
Because the dog.
It's funny.
So the laws of physics did apply to that issue.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Only when it matters.
Yeah.
only when it matters.
All right, we got last but not least, probably for our audience, the one that most of us has seen, I would guess.
Probably, maybe Jay and Silent
Jay-
Bob.
Maybe
Jay-
Jay and Silent Bob would be in a
probably.
close second.
But this is like
But this is like
an
if-
iconic thing.
yeah, this is more like you got the only like iconic.
You
film.
got a
And-
movie.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
job.
and
Based off of Stephen King,
yeah.
even better.
quick
Short
disclaimer.
story though.
Hey, I got Shakespeare.
Quick
Yeah, he has a lot
disclaimer.
of short stories.
hack. Quick disclaimer. Tom does not like horror films, and I think this is the 4th time I've made you watch a horror film.
Yeah, probably.
Why don't you, before you start? Why don't you like horror films?
I don't. It's hard to scare me, and I just don't really find the tension and suspense like it's so compelling at times. Like
Okay.
I wish that like Babadook and stuff you sold me before in the past. Like I'm very I like a good movie that keeps me on the edge of my seat, but isn't just filled with jump scares and bloody murder.
Have you seen things like The Ring or The Grudge and stuff like that?
I saw The Ring, the remake, the American one. I thought it was solid, but it wasn't like it's not a movie I would go back and watch again.
Oh yeah, I don't think
yeah.
horrors are movies you go back and watch. I mean,
Oh, I disagree.
I could watch a Babadook weekly, man.
no, I'm saying
that
more in the
movie.
sense
Depends
of
on the
like
movie.
you don't get as scared as much because you know now what's coming.
Right.
Like Scream was, I think, a great first time watching it because of the reveals and the plot twists and everything like that.
Still fun to me.
But
It's still fun,
No,
yeah.
no, I still
Comedy,
would
yeah.
watch it and enjoy it. But that it loses a lot of its impact versus something like Dumb and Dumber, where you rewatch it and it's just constantly comical.
you just lost your argument to me.
That's right. Comedies can still
You
be
just lost
funny.
Ryan's
Dumb and
vote.
Dumber's not even your movie, but you've been alienated your audience.
I think that's not giving horror
Time
enough
for
credit.
Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn. Let's
We will
go.
have this
Corn
discussion later.
maze.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
Boom, you're going.
So, Children of the Corn, short story written by Stephen King, developed into a movie in 1984. It tells of a corn drought, which I'm not sure what exactly is, besides the fact that
I'm
corn
from
is just
Illinois, I
not
can
there.
talk about
It's the
this.
best ska band in the
That's
world.
why I was laughing.
I mean-
I know that.
I mean, a
Yeah, I
water
know.
drought, like I understand that, then the corn doesn't grow. But a corn drought, it just felt odd to have like a sign outside the church that said corn drought. So basically, I
Maybe
did
it was
some.
a prank.
It was a prank.
Kids that used to say like believe in God, and the kids moved it.
So basically, this town is in turmoil. They're worried. This is set in the '80s, so they can't fucking just go to Washington and pick up a bunch of corn or whatever. But for the most part, they
Does Washington have a lot of corn?
They got huge.
Just go to Illinois.
I was going to say, I'd go to Illinois.
well, Washington's in my brain because the two main characters are actually moving to Seattle, Washington, to become a doctor,
Okay.
and that's why it's in my head. But
Are they on
huge
Grey's
corn
Anatomy?
dispensaries there.
So they're in this little small town called Gatlin, and apparently one of the kids, Isaac, who's actually not even a kid, he's a 25-year-old kid with like progeria or something.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, he's like an old guy who's playing this role of a snot-nosed kid, and he does it really well.
the actor. The
yeah, the
actor
actor, yeah.
is.
The
but,
actor is, but he's supposed to be like a 12, 13-year-old.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
If you look him up now, he looks basically the same, just older.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that kid from Hannah Montana.
And he might be one of the best parts of the movie. Like, I'm an Isaac follower now.
Oh,
So,
he is.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
got
great.
this, like, bravado about all his sermons that he does. But I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. But he's easily the best part of the movie, I think.
Hashtag follow Isaac.
Exactly. Kill your
liked
parents. Yeah. So, yeah, Isaac takes all the kids into the cornfield, and through reasons, all the kids decide to kill every adult in the town. I don't think they really ever explain it in this movie. Why?
Is
kids-
there a possession? Is there a mind washing?
No, it's basically the
devil is coming, and you have to kill everyone.
the devil told them to.
Oh,
Yeah.
devil.
And said, okay.
Is there like a scene where he hears the devil? Or
Think a
like-
very, very basic premise like the devil made me do it, and just
Yeah.
take that to the logical like corn extreme, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's no moment in the movie where that explains it.
No,
Well, I mean,
then
towards
they-
the end, there's like a demon possession sort of thing going on, and
Like,
big
they-
fireworks that happen.
Yeah, when they like pull the rug of like, oh, these kids aren't crazy. They actually are talking to the devil. Is like so they were told to kill.
Okay, but we never see in the beginning that switch over of that possession.
No,
They basically just throw you into a diner as this kid is narrating for the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then they forget that entire trope. And you see this kid having a milkshake with a little mustache, and then his dad dies, and he doesn't react, and everyone else dies in the diner. And that's kind of how the movie starts.
Like they drop dead?
There's poison into their coffee. So like they kill half the diner that way, and then there's 2 or 3 of them that kill the remaining people with like.
What are the
knives
police-
Is
and
Malachi
saws.
there?
Malachi's there in the corner. He's kind of like setting it all up.
Martinez.
Which
Yeah, you're talking about from Longmire?
no, I'm just talking about Malachi.
Malachi is a character
Malachi, yeah.
Oh,
in this
okay.
movie, which is the whole reason why gingers have a bad name.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
and he's not. He's over the top, and
He's
not,
got a huge mouth.
Yeah, there's something all weird about all these kids, especially the ones they focused on. I think that really helps drive home the little creepiness of the movie a little bit better. But yeah,
What did you? What do the cops do when these people start dying?
the cops are already dead. Like they basically all the kids surprise all the adults at the same time on the same day and wipe out this entire small little town.
This is at the end or this is at the beginning?
This is at the very beginning of the movie.
beginning, yeah.
So what's the rest of the movie about?
So the rest of the movie is basically Linda Hamilton and Peter Horton driving from where they were to Seattle, and they have to stop through this rinky-dink town, and they wind up just smacking into a kid.
Awesome.
With their car, and they think they killed him, but his throat was slit by the other kids because he was trying to run away, and the devil worshippers are like, "You can't run away. We're going to kill
Right,
you."
right.
And they make corn scary. So the couple
Corn will cut you. I've walked through that shit.
So the couple decide to throw the kid in the trunk and drive into town to try and call the police because obviously they have a dead kid in their trunk and they want to report it, and they're not going to be the suspect, obviously.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a kid that's
and then
been
they
hit by
find
a
there's
car
no
and had his throat
adults in
slashed.
town.
There's only one adult in town who is a guy who provides them with gas, and they've
The
kept
old
him
man,
alive
I'm
for
sure.
3 years. He has a little dog, and then for some reason, Malachi decides to kill the dog, and then the old man gets pissed, and Malachi kills the old man. And now there's no adults in the town except for Lionel Hamilton and Peter Horton.
The damn
Malachi's
kids
a
have to
dick.
learn how to use the gas pump.
Yeah. Malachi just is like the dragon in this story where he's trying to circumvent and overthrow Isaac, and it just fucks everything up for everyone. Not that it wasn't already fucked.
Malachi's the leader of the group.
Isaac is the leader. He's the preacher guy. Malachi's like his right hand.
Okay.
He's his muscle, if you will, and
He's the hot gun.
Hot
yeah,
head.
exactly. And he just goes off his rocker and starts killing the old people, and they lose resources. Isaac chastises him, and then Malachi turns on Isaac and starts throwing him up onto a cross.
Corn cross.
Yeah, corn cross, of course, because corn is scary. They do the same thing with Lionel Hamilton.
Again, go through a cornfield. It's scary as shit.
Well, I mean, I love the whole human giant corn maze sketch. But I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of summarizing it, but I thought it was.
Hey, that's a valid argument.
Exactly.
Man.
But movie ends. Isaac is up on a cross. He's burning.
What's the point
Demon
of the
possessions him. Watch the very last scene of the movie, and you'll find the point of the movie, which is probably I don't know. They just wanted to make something.
Don't trust children.
Yeah, I mean,
It plays on the parental fear of children. Like
it does. Yeah,
it
totally.
does, like you're fearing your succession. Like there's kind of an aspect of that plays into the short story and the movie itself.
Yeah,
and
and there's a heavy anti-religious tones throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Like West Baptist shit.
Like
You did
tones
not
that are
mention-
like throwing Satanism to be scary, or like the movie is actually trying to comment on religion is bad.
I think the screenwriter is trying to come out that religion is bad. Yeah. There's a scene in the car where they're listening to the preacher go, the fornicators and the homosexuals, and Lynn Hamilton's making fun of them, which I think is kind of progressive.
Was that
for the
more?
time.
I mean, that's kind of Stephen King, though, does kind of stuff like that, where he's just
He does that all the time, especially with like unknown psychic children who have visions that has no point to the plot. That's in this movie too.
it's there.
Do you know that Shawshank Redemption is his movie?
Yeah.
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 Hey, did you know
On
The
a movie
Sandlot
podcast.
is his movie?
Is it really?
That's my favorite that
that's
people
funny.
don't know about. But why was it great?
Why was it great? I particularly enjoyed the cinematography, especially early on, especially for its time. Like the shots look dated, the colors look weird, but it adds to the overall tone and the aesthetic of the movie. And I didn't really have any problems too much with pacing, except for about 30 minutes to 45 to 50. They're basically just kind of looking around this town. That's obviously a backlot.
Yeah.
Was there anything that was scary about it besides the fact of just creepy children? Because I feel like children that play like stoic and like simple is just it's an easy cop out to make something scary, like versus something more original that you're not really anticipating coming your way.
Well, but I mean, I guess it's a different perspective for me because I never really watched this growing up. So back in the time, it might have been very ahead of its time. But now it seems like it's just another trope.
Especially that rug pull, I'm sure scared somebody. When you watch it now, it's like, wow, this looks fucking horrible. But
especially the special effects.
What
Yeah.
the movie does well is it makes you question, like, is this just kids being
are
really
these-
rowdy?
Are they crazy or is it real?
And then you find out that there is more to it. That's kind of a strength of anything Stephen King does. That there's always on the periphery this there's more to it.
It's
There's
grounded
like this
in
other
reality.
world that's kind of bleeding in. That's
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
over,
Yeah.
demonic or maybe even Lovecraftian. There's always this extra element that's hinted.
Would
It's always
you-
hinted? And, like,
If
it kinda
you
knocks
were
it over
around
the
a
head.
cornfield right now, would you have a slight hesitation or fear?
Oh, if I was in fucking Gatling, sure.
Okay.
Well, also I would just be afraid of getting lost in a cornfield. But
So here's my question. You have 2 minutes left, by the way.
Gotcha.
My major question for you, though, is why do you think it's such a cult hit?
I mean, Linda Hamilton was she's
Sarah Connor. I mean,
she's
yeah,
good in this
awesome.
movie, but Sarah Connor, I think, helped propel this movie a little bit more than it was.
She
I
owns the
don't know
rights
when
to
exactly
Terminator.
it came out, but they were
This
like
was
right
84,
the same year.
so
Yeah.
Terminator was 84 as well, right?
yeah. So this
So
all
I don't
went
know.
right at
It would have been the
time,
same year, so I'm sure it got a little bit of boost from that as well. And
But
I
the
think
people still love this movie. I mean, like I told somebody at work we were doing it for the podcast, and like I fucking love that movie. And I watched it, I'm like, why? I mean,
it's
fine.
surprisingly good
It's
for
good.
what it
It's well
is.
made, but I don't understand like the love behind.
That's got to be a nostalgic thing. I mean, I think we can look back at anything that came out, like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It came out in the 70s, and people love that. And if you watch it now, it's like, oh, yeah, I see what they did, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
I see what they were going for.
Yeah.
And they mostly achieved it, but like movies now have a lot more that they can do.
But yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to bring that up though, because like some things stay scary, but like Chucky was the one horror movie growing up that did not scare me. Like it just, Michael Myers, Friday the 13th, like Nightmare on Elm Street, all that shit terrified me.
Puppet Master, it's even better than
Puppet
Chucky.
Master. The first one was still creepy with the dolls moving across, Tommy knockers, like all that stuff. That stuff was terrifying. But I remember being like 7 in the movie theater and cheering on Chucky and then cheering on Charlie in the movie theater. Yeah. And I'm just bringing up.
Well,
like,
I think we still are talking about Children of the Corn.
We are talking about Children of the Corn, but I'm bringing up the point of like you say like why people still like it is like because it had an impact on them, and I'm also using that moment to bash on Chucky movie because I'm trying to bring down all your guys' movies right now.
It's a solid adaptation. It's a solid adaptation of a material. It's actually fairly short and like
the short story is what it's not long. It's a
17
couple,
pages.
like you
Yeah.
can
It's
breeze
not
through in a sitting.
you can read one sitting. You can read it in one sitting, and it actually just doesn't do much more than just the fear of the children, fear of the next generation, and it just becomes that metaphor for that. And then this just kind of takes it a little bit further, adds religion into the mix, and has a solid screenplay too. Yeah.
And Children of the Corn is the only one that spawned 6 sequels. So, out of all these,
Give mine time.
Yeah. Though I do feel like Cowboys versus Dinosaurs was kind of in the same round of Sharknado and Shocktopus and all that stuff.
This is not an asylum
I did
film.
ask my roommate who used to work for them if it was, and he said no.
It's Mar Vista.
I'm just saying it's a sci-fi that's
Seemed like
playing
it.
into that genre.
It's far better than that genre. It's
Oh
the
my god!
greatest film ever made.
I was even watching. I was like, this is so shitty.
It's so good.
Like, here's
Phenomenal.
here's
Man,
the
that's
one
Fate's
pro. This is the one pro I can say about your movie. They only spent $300,000 on it. That is the one thing that
and it
amazes
looks like
me.
a $30 million movie.
I mean, the fact that that's the
Phenomenal.
list, they spent that on a 90-minute movie is incredible. The accountant, the line producer of that, seriously needs to get a promotion because that's the only thing
all
that movie
quality,
has.
and they didn't even need to hire an orangutan or Mark Hamill.
exactly. All that quality, and they didn't make profit though, which is the problem. And
You
I
don't
bet
know that?
I bet you they spent $50,000 of that $300,000 on getting Eric Roberts to show up for
I
one
feel
day.
like there's a follow-up
see that.
episode on whether profit means quality.
yeah.
In terms of our discussion here today,
Well,
because
you're trying to just defend pros about a movie, and that's definitely a pro.
Yeah,
about,
but you don't know if it made profit or not because you don't know how much they sold it to Netflix for, how much they sold it to other streaming services.
And
many
Netflix
people
tells
bought it on
read it up
DVD.
that they
Netflix
didn't.
tells
Netflix will not tell you how much they
they
spent
will
on
not tell you
stuff.
anything.
Netflix will not, but Sci-Fi will.
Yeah, but they sold it to all these other streaming services. They could have easily
It
made a
bombed
profit.
on the ratings.
There
Wait,
were no
that's-
rating. Whatever. It
Yeah,
doesn't
when you
matter.
watch
You
the
just
movie.
changed your argument because you lost one. What happened?
We got to
I'm
vote.
feeling very attacked right now.
What?
guys.
You should. You've been attacked the whole,
Go ahead,
whole
go
fucking
for it.
episode.
Almost as if there was a doll after me.
I don't have to attack Shakespeare. Everyone's going to rip that apart in the first place.
Sure.
I can just say Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, and people
everyone
are like,
knows it
"What?"
wins.
Children of the Corn is the only legitimate thing that can stand up slightly against me, and it still doesn't challenge it the same way.
that's probably because of how I described it.
All right, so voting for those of you who do not remember or do not know, you cannot vote for your own film. Everybody gets one. We're gonna go in the way that we went. So Ryan goes first.
I have to say that of all the arguments, I actually believed that Eric enjoyed Jay and Silent Bob.
He's an actor. You can't believe him. They're shifty folk.
And then, but I'm not done. He went on to bash all the other films so much that I realized he was actually insecure kind of about his movie and kind of puffing out his chest about it the whole time. So I'm gonna go with Brian, who again actually made me believe he liked his movie a little less.
Amateurs. Oh,
I get to go next. It's tough because Eric did a very, very good job convincing me that a movie that's an utter pile of shit is actually something more than an utter pile of shit. But I'm not sure if you fully sold me on it and whether or not it is or whether or not you just think it is.
Or just said it is.
Or just said it is time and time and time again. But that said, everything else at the table sucks but mine.
You got to go with who gave the best argument.
I know,
always
that's
how
what
I
I'm
pick,
thinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got to go with Silent Bob then because he gave the most passionate argument.
it's very true.
yeah. I just want to bring up. We're supposed to defend stuff, so I feel it's right to bash other things because that's what a debate is.
The best defense is a good offense.
And yeah. So in that, I mean, because I can't pick mine, like, because from the start I was going in a positive way. I have to go with Children of the Corn because of everybody. No offense, the three of you just bombed your movies. Like all three of you.
know what you're talking about. Mine was phenomenal.
Brian did okay on it, but you could tell. I mean, but people aren't seeing your face, but even in your voice, you could tell how much your soul was dying in what you were saying. And
I'll watch it again
the,
tonight.
and the
I
other,
loved it.
And the other, and I'm sorry, and the other two, like you guys from the guys, like, yeah, this movie was not good. Like that's not how you open an argument to win a thing. And
It
and
is if
Tom,
you're trying to win over
Tom
with
was
honesty.
very. I mean, Tom even admitted he doesn't like horror movies, but he was from like, you know what, it was pretty good, and like he was genuinely somewhat positive about it the whole time. He wasn't overly ecstatic like I was, but he was still in there. So I'm
I don't
definitely
think
going.
anyone's as overecstatic as
And
you are.
again, I have to go with like again, the movie was 800,000 and made 13 million. Like that is insane for profit and a valuable part of a movie. And so I go definitely with Children of the Corn.
Nice. Perfect. I got 1 point.
I'll go with Children of the Corn as well because I liked everything about that story and the
And
movie.
because I didn't bash on Chucky.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing.
So for the win, Tom, just don't vote for another movie that has a vote.
Shakespeare.
Or do, and there can be a tie with Cowboys versus Dinosaurs.
I don't know. I mean, Eric with his acting, it's hard.
Shifty
not to,
folk.
Shifty folk. Yeah.
Or authentic folk. We don't do roles and lie. We have to believe what we're saying.
Everything you say is a lie.
You live on a house of lies.
I mean, I think Brian really did defend his movie well.
He
in
did a
terms of
synopsis. That's not defense.
It's totally defense.
He did
But-
it excitedly.
I
I
think
was so excited about. Still am excited about it.
I got to give it
You
to
could
you,
say
Eric. You just stole the movie better than especially when you say that you don't like Jay and Silent Bob movies, and then you're raving about this movie, whether it's true or not.
Classic
I-
acting
you-
technique.
it's
Oh my
competing
god!
wise.
My roommate came home and I was crying at how
That you were
funny that
watching
shit
it.
was.
It's okay. We were all crying too.
I was so pissed when you gave it to me, dude. Seriously, I was like, this is bullshit.
I'm happy that it made you sad at one point.
Twice actually,
twice, yeah.
apparently.
Well, how do you like them apples?
How do you look? Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry. We
No,
have to
no,
go
no,
back
we're
to
not
this.
going into it.
Oh
No,
my God.
we're not talking about Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting 2.
Applesauce, bitch.
That was the right answer.
And they brought the actor back. They brought the guy.
Oh, because
the-
he's doing so much.
Matt Damon,
No,
Robin
no,
Williams.
not Matt. By the way, Matt
Ben
Damon
Affleck?
goes into that
The
whole speech
antagonist.
like that. Oh God, that's so
Anyhow,
funny.
so that brings our episode to a close.
I could go
with
on
a
about this movie.
tie between Children of the Corn and Jay and
No, we need a
Silent Bob.
tiebreaker.
No.
No. Who did what?
We've done
Who do we
tiebreakers
have?
before. They never turn out well.
It's 2 Children of the Corn and 2 for Jay and Silent Bob.
All right.
And you did BRYAN'S, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go between those 2.
So here's the thing. We're going to put it up when the episode drops on Thursday, and we'll count all the comments on Facebook
There we go. All right.
of people who vote. And
you guys can
we'll
choose.
determine a winner on Thursday.
So if
Okay.
you guys want to
Between
have a
only
different
those
winner,
2.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll say if you guys really liked one of our arguments more,
Nope.
I'll
They
do it the
won't.
same. I'll do it the same way that we did our horror month of Universal Monsters. These are the movies that have points right now: Cowboys versus Dinosaurs with 1 point, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back with 2, Children of the Corn with 2. If you really want to vote for Curse of Chucky, the other one,
You don't have to.
can.
Have you guys heard of a water bet?
My title's even hard to say.
It
Do you guys-
is.
do you-
Love
it is-
labors
it's so
lost.
Too many.
Have you?
Too many
But have you guys
apostrophes.
done?
No.
Have you ever done a water bet before?
No.
Okay, so a water bet is you spin this wheel. It's an app, and whoever loses has to get water thrown on them in a certain fashion that the app is. It can either be straight to the face, right up in front of their face. You do like a Matty Snapbacks, like Matt Stafford, how you throw it. You can do the English Channel. You lay in your stomach and have to act like you're swimming, and water gets thrown on you. So I'm willing to bet a water bet that Children of the Corn loses to Jay and Silent Bob in votes. And so and whoever wants to take that, if I don't win, you got to throw water in my face based on the wheel.
I'll take that.
Nice. We got to
Handshake,
tape that.
handshake.
I'll take that.
That'll be
All
on
right.
the internet.
and I want the listeners. I want the listeners to be noble and honest and not spiteful like the people at this table were
I'm going
towards
to
me.
be not noble, not honest, and totally spiteful.
I've
I'm
got a
going to
CGI.
win.
I don't know. It's hard not to be spiteful when you've been shit on.
Brian's gonna create like 27 emails
Oh
and
my
just,
God,
and
there's
just log
so
into
many new
Facebook.
Facebook accounts coming.
Don't worry, Brian. I got a script that lets you log into Reddit.
There we go.
Yep.
All right, so
Mark Zuckerberg listens to our podcast. He'll help us out.
Yes.
He's a bud.
He's on
So
Facebook.
next week we have Whiplash coming out.
Ooh,
The week after that is Hateful Eight, and then the week after that is Star Wars: The Force Awakens, or as people at my work like to call it, Star Wars: The Force Asleepins, but I disagree with them. So with that, thank you to Eric Steffens for coming out. Or he cannot reply.
oh yeah, hi.
We're doing
Wait,
the thing.
you're
I'll say it
welcome.
again.
I don't
Thank
know.
you for
you guys ready to start the podcast? Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm on Instagram, the imperfect chase.
There it is. So Instagram, and where can they see you again when your next show?
The Ice House in Pasadena at 8 p.m.
Cool.
So it'd be the 29th. Yeah.
Thanks for Tom
It's a
Ford
good
for
show.
coming out again.
Of course, always fun.
What's your podcast again?
It's the EW After Hour. We do it Friday nights, and we play like board games online.
Perfect.
What does EWF stand for?
It's an after party for a show about e-wrestling, which is electronic wrestling where you write as a wrestling character, which is really nerdy and whatever. But yeah, check it out. Mixler.com/fwrestling.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then thanks to John and Ryan as always.
Yep.
And I'm Brian.
Bye.
Let me keep it real. Oh, Netflix and chill. Netflix and chill, girl. Netflix and chill. Let me keep it real. Oh.